I feel like Ouija boards will forever scare me, and the way that people keep messing with them is crazy. This girl was born into a family where everybody had a gift. Her grandmother actually used her gifts to make money and help people, and that's how her mom and her dad met. So mom, dad, and grandmother had very similar gifts where they can see beings that no one else can. They're very intuitive and they can see things in their dreams that haven't happened yet. So this is something that at a very young age she learned, and she grew up knowing this as something normal to her. However, and unfortunately for her, she was not born with a gift. Because of this, she feels like she doesn't belong. She feels like an outsider in her own family. She explains how sometimes her families are having conversations about things that they're seeing, and she just doesn't feel included because she can't relate. She's not seeing whatever it is that they're seeing. She feels like something is missing and that she should have had a gift. So when she turned 20 years old, she decided that she was gonna try anything and everything in order for her to get her gift. So the first steps that she took was to get in contact with people who were going to help her open her third eye. People who told her that they would help her get that connection needed to get that gift. This became almost like an obsession with her, and any money that she would make from work, she would put right into these people. It got to a point where she explains that she started to feel like things around her, energies, like spirits, and she was a little bit scared, but she was liking that feeling that she could finally sense something around her. She told herself, don't be scared, I'm getting my gift and I'm gonna be even powerful than my grandmother, than my dad, than my mom. However, she does say that something inside of her was telling her to stop. Like, stop what you're doing, you've gone too far, like stop. And she would tell herself, no, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep doing this, I'm gonna be stronger. Because the way she explains it was, my mom, dad, and grandmother, they had the gift, they didn't have to train, they didn't have to like grow this, but if I try and grow this, maybe I can be stronger than they are. So after telling herself, we're not stopping, we're gonna take this all the way, she gets in contact with a woman who practiced dark magic. When she talks to this lady, the lady tells her that the only way she's gonna go to her full potential is if she gets in contact with her ancestors, and she explains to her that the best way to get in contact with them is through a Ouija board. She ends up paying this lady a lot of money to do this whole connection with her ancestors through the Ouija board, and she is very confident that she's gonna get that connection and she's gonna get her gift. So the night comes where she's gonna go to this lady's home and they're gonna do the whole Ouija board connection thing. When she walks in, she sees this very old Ouija board, like something she had never seen before. The lady explains to her that this is a Ouija board that she only uses for very powerful connections, and asks her if she's ready. She says yes, and the lady asks her to put her hands on top of the planchette. The moment that she puts her hands on the planchette, she remembers nothing. Gone. 3 hours had passed, and when she finally comes to, she's blinking her eyes, but she can see this lady in front of her looking at her very fucking terrified. She feels like her mouth is so dry. She feels like her body is aching, like she has no idea what had just happened. As she's coming to, blinking her eyes because she's like, what the hell just happened? The lady was like, are you okay? Are you here? And she can't even talk, but she's like moving her head yes. As soon as she said yes, the lady gave her a hug and said, did you bring a car? Did you drive here? And she's like, no, I Ubered here. And the lady's like, okay, I'm gonna get you an Uber, you need to leave. Mind you, she is like kind of out of it, and the lady's like, I'll get you an Uber, I'll pay for it, don't worry about it. What's your address? And she's just like, I can't remember. She's like, okay, I'm gonna send the Uber to the town and you just go and tell the Uber where you're gonna go. This lady was literally shoving her outside of her house, didn't want anything to do with her. She ends up getting in the Uber and they left her like in the middle of the city that she lived in. Thankfully, she was able to contact a relative that ended up taking her home. Mind you, this is at 2 or 3 in the morning. She was very vulnerable because she still felt very much out of it, and she was in the middle of town, in the middle of the night, where something bad could have happened to her as well. Her relatives looking at her like, you don't look well. They take her home. She says that she lies in her bed, doesn't wake up for 2 whole days. Her mom, her dad, her grandmother, they can sense that she's okay because she's still breathing. And at that point, they were like, we should take her to the doctor. What should we do? But they actually waited for her to wake up because they can sense that she was fine. Like, they just thought that she was tired, maybe stressed, and they let her sleep it off for 2 days. When she finally wakes up, they tell her like, hey, you've been asleep for 2 days. We need to take you to the doctor to see if there's anything physically wrong with you. The doctors didn't find anything. They just told her that maybe it could have been exhaustion, like she was tired, and to just get some rest. She knew something happened with that dark magic lady, and she needed to know what happened exactly. She ends up calling the lady's not answering. She goes to the lady's house, bumps into her, and she closes the door on her face. It gets to the point where she's waiting outside, like she's getting to this lady's house at 6 in the morning in order to catch her coming out of her house to ask her what happened. A whole week of her trying to catch this lady passes when she finally catches her trying to come out of her house. That lady was about to go back in, but she actually put her foot in the door where she couldn't close the door all the way. This lady is looking at her very scared, telling her, "Don't come inside my house. You're not allowed in my house. I'll tell you everything, but just do not come inside my house." She agrees and tells her, "But I'm not gonna move my foot. You're gonna tell me and you're not gonna close the door on me again." The lady's like, "Fine, leave your foot there, but it's not what happened. It's who you are. It's what you did." She says the lady was now looking at her with like a disgusting look on her face and tells her, "What have you done? Like, what have you been doing?" This lady tells her that when she put her hands on that planchette, her eyes immediately changed. It was almost like if all the veins in her eyes had burst and they almost looked like they were filled with blood. While she was looking at her with those blood eyes, she was grabbing hold of that planchette so tight that her hands started changing colors. She kept asking her, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" Because at that point she was breathing really hard. Then it turned to her growling at the lady. The lady was so concerned that she was gonna try to remove her hands from the planchette, and the second that she touched her hands, she said that she had a vision of this scary, crazy beast. This lady says that she's seen it all. She didn't think there was something that she would ever be scared of, but this image of the beast like scared her so much. When she saw this image of the beast, she let go of her hands because again she was really scared, and that was when she started to crack all her bones, and she almost seemed more like an animal than a human in that moment. After a few hours, she finally started blinking. She came to, and the lady was like, "I was kicking you out. I was not about to deal with whatever you are or whatever you did to have something like that beast come to. And please don't ever come back to my house again." And she literally closed that door in her face after telling her everything that happened and saying, "Please don't fucking come back." She explains that ever since that day, she doesn't feel right. Things have gotten really strange, and it's almost like if something is following her. There's times where she's forgetting what she's done during the day. There's times where she feels like there's something slithering inside of her body. She feels like little by little something is draining her soul. And that is how the story ended. I'm not gonna lie, why wouldn't she go to her grandmother, her mom, her dad? Like, why does she want to be more powerful? Like, maybe the reason why she was born without a gift was a good reason. Obviously she's regretful, but like, I don't even want to know how this plays out. I just hope that maybe she seeks help by her family, like maybe they could help her. But what do you guys think?